Exposed, the incredible 6-month journey of a man transformed after his wife called him a failure. John Jacobs was known as the backbone of Maplewood. A small town where everyone knew everyone, his family-run auto shop had been a haven for friendly conversations and reliable service. But after 10 years of pouring his heart into that place, business had vanished as quickly as yesterday's clouds. Each night, under the faded orange glow of streetlights, he'd drive home with a growing pit of dread in his stomach. The weight of unpaid bills crushed his spirit, reminding him of his failures as a husband, a father, and a man. On one chilly autumn evening, after another grueling day filled with silence and stagnant cars, John stepped inside his home. The scent of Sarah's famous apple pie filled the air, yet it did little to ease the tension that bubbled beneath the surface. Sarah stood by the kitchen table, her brows knit together, worry etching deep lines into her forehead. "John, we need to talk," she said, her voice quivering. It took mere seconds for the words to spiral into a chaotic whirlwind of raw emotion. They were two people tethered together by love, but trapped in the chokehold of despair. "You're just a failure, John," she exclaimed, the stinging truth cutting through him like a knife. The words echoed in his mind, threatening to unravel everything he believed he was. But the hurt ignited something. It forced him to peel back the layers of self-doubt and resentment, revealing a fierce determination that had lain dormant for too long. In those moments, a new path unfolded before him, one where he could reclaim not just his strength, but his identity as a husband and a father. Over the next few weeks, John transformed the desperation that had gripped him into action. He took on odd jobs around town, mowing lawns, delivering groceries, even fixing the neighbor's old bicycle. Each day, as a chill breeze rustled the fallen leaves, John discovered bits of resilience within the community. Conversations over steaming cups of coffee at the local diner forged connections with others struggling under the weight of their realities. Despite the camaraderie he found, the journey was far from smooth. Some folks looked at him with disdain, dismissing him as just another failed mechanic. Each judgment stung, poking at the raw wound of his self-worth. Back home, the strain grew, Sarah's confusion reflected in her weary eyes. She struggled to comprehend the metamorphosis he was undergoing, and it fractured their dreams even further. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. 6 months passed, and John found himself teetering on the edge of a breakthrough. One night, as he prepared for a local community event, he stood outside, heart pounding against the weight of expectation. Was success merely a title granted by society, or was it something deeper, a collective pulse of love and community? As John took a deep breath to step onto the stage, he spotted Sarah among the crowd, her expression wavering between worry and unspoken hope. Just then, a voice from the crowd cut through the ambient noise, igniting the fears he thought he'd left behind. Would he ever manage to bridge the growing chasm between them? The air thickened with anticipation, the moment right before change. John stepped onto the stage, the spotlight bathing him in a warm glow that felt both inviting and intimidating. He could see the familiar faces of neighbors and friends, but amid the sea of support were also those who had doubted him, their judgment still lingering like an unwelcome cloud. A lump formed in his throat, threatening to silence the words he had rehearsed time and again. He cleared his throat, the sound almost swallowed by the rustling of the crowd, and began to speak. "I want to share a story, my story." His voice trembled, but he pressed on. A story of struggle, of transformation, but more importantly, a story of community. As he spoke, he could feel the energy of listening hearts and caring souls. He told them about the late nights spent mulling over finances, the frustration of watching his dreams slip through his fingers. He shared the moments of shame that had threatened to drown him, the pain of feeling like a failure, not just as a businessman but as a husband and father. Each word was a piece of his heart laid bare. I was lost, he admitted, but I realized something: I can't do this alone. A silence enveloped the crowd, and he could feel their attention sharpen. With every lawn I mowed, every errand I ran, I found pieces of myself I thought were long gone. I recognized that success isn't just about what we achieve alone. It's about the bonds we build, the love we share, and the support we offer each other. As he spoke, glancing at Sarah, he saw tears shimmering in her eyes. Could she see the man he was becoming? Moments flashed through his mind: the laughter he had shared with neighbors, the humble gratitude offered by those he'd helped. Each interaction added layers to his identity. He wasn't just a mechanic. He was part of something bigger, a lifeline for his community and his family. Sometimes, he continued, it takes losing everything to learn what truly matters. I discovered that the strength to rebuild comes from those around us. As he finished his speech, a wave of emotion washed over him. He had poured his soul into those words, hoping they would resonate with even one person. The crowd erupted into applause and cheers, filling the air with warmth and acceptance. In that moment, he felt a flicker of hope ignite, not just within himself but within Sarah too. She smiled, the worry lines easing from her face, revealing a spark of pride and understanding. As John stepped down from the stage, he felt a renewed sense of purpose, yet the unresolved tension hung heavy in the air between him and Sarah. The applause faded, but doubt lingered in the shadows of his mind. Did this moment truly change their trajectory, or was it just a fleeting illusion of hope? John took Sarah's hand, searching her gaze. I know it's been hard, but I want to make this right. Can we find our way back? His voice was steady, but inside, he feared the answer. John, she replied, a hint of uncertainty in her voice, you've made leaps and bounds. But what? The unfinished sentence hung like a trapdoor over their future, and he couldn't shake the sense of impending truth. Would their love be strong enough to weather the chasm that had grown between them, or was there too much undone? As they walked through the crowd, facing the warmth of community and the chill of their reality, John's heart raced. Could they truly rebuild what had been broken? The night wasn't over, and as the gathering buzzed with excitement, John felt a question linger at the back of his mind. What sacrifices would he need to face to ensure that love would triumph over their fears? John and Sarah stepped into the cool night air, the sounds of laughter and conversation fading behind them. The glow of the overhead lights felt distant now, and he held onto her hand, a lifeline to the world he desperately wanted to be a part of once again. As they moved away from the crowd, a tension in the air crackled between them, heavy and unyielding. Can we sit? John said, nodding towards a nearby bench under the sprawling oak tree. The branches seemed to cradle them in a leafy embrace, a stark contrast to the uncertainty unfolding between them. They settled onto the bench, the weight of what had been left unsaid pressing down on them. Your speech was, she paused, searching for the right words, powerful. Was it enough? He risked a glance at her, his heart pounding. It was a start. Sarah's voice softened, but there was still that lingering doubt, the echo of that unfinished thought threatening to resurface. But, John, I need to know that you're ready for the next step. The shadows played tricks on his mind. He could see their shared past: the laughter, the long talks, the promises made late at night. But he also saw the distance that had grown between them like a chasm, vast and filled with unmet expectations. I swear. I've spent so much time focusing on what I lost that I forgot to look ahead. I want to be the man you believe I can be. Her eyes glistened under the muted streetlights, a mixture of hope and skepticism. It's not just about you anymore. It's about us, our family. The kids are feeling this too, John. He swallowed hard, the lump rising again. I know. I see it in their faces. They're worried, and so am I. But I want to change that. I want to show them that it's never too late to fight for what's important. His voice wavered slightly, but he steadied his gaze on hers, pouring every ounce of sincerity into his words. A silence enveloped them. The world felt suspended at that moment. just the two of them and the weight of the future hanging in the balance. He could hear her breathing, steady and measured. I just need to know you're all in, not just saying the words. She shook her head lightly, almost as if battling against her own emotions. Talk is easy, John. I've heard words before. What can you give me that proves this is real? Not just words. He thought about the hours spent making life better, not just for himself, but for everyone around him. I'll show you. I'll get involved in the kids' lives more. I'll take on more. Whatever it takes, I'll put in hard work, not just for me but for you and the kids. A small smile flickered on her lips, but her eyes remained cautious. What happens when it gets hard? When life gets in the way again? John leaned in, determination bubbling beneath the surface. I'll lean into it. I promise. I've seen the difference that kind of support makes. I didn't just find myself on that stage tonight. I found hope. I can't promise that every day will be perfect, but I can promise to keep showing up for you and for the kids. As he said this, he felt a stirring inside, something far stronger than the doubt that had held him captive for so long. Maybe it was a flicker of resilience, a flame reigniting after so long in the dark. But what happens if this isn't enough? Her voice trembled, vulnerability seeping through her walls. That uncertainty was still there, thick like fog. He took a deep breath, hoping to channel every ounce of conviction he felt. Then we'll figure it out together. I don't just want to be a memory of who I used to be. I want to be who you always believed I could be, with you by my side. Will you let me try? As she stared at him, he held his breath, wondering if this moment would mark the beginning of their healing or if it would simply reinforce the rift. It was all out in the open now, and there was something about this raw honesty that pierced through the fear of facing the truth. But just as she started to reply, the sound of a child's laughter broke through the stillness nearby, a joy that drew them both back into reality. It was a reminder of everything at stake, and the path ahead glimmered with uncertainty and possibility. John, she began, but her tone left him hanging. Could he truly handle the road ahead? What would their next move be, now that the details of their tangled past had been laid bare? With the night deepening, John knew that nothing would be settled tonight. Tensions still lingered, unresolved and aching to be addressed. What sacrifices would he truly need to make to carry not just his load, but theirs too? The laughter faded, but the heaviness lingered. John turned to Sarah, her silhouette soft beneath the flickering light. He could read the doubt in her stance, the cautious way she hugged her arms close, as if bracing herself. What if I'm not enough? She finally asked, her voice breaking through the tension like a soft breeze. What if you really try and it still doesn't work out? Her question stung like a slap, though he understood the fear behind it. We can't predict the future, Sarah. But I can promise that I'll fight harder than I ever have before. He reached for her hand, a silent pact that anchored them in that moment. I want to become that man again, the one who let you down. She met his gaze, and for an instant, he saw a flicker of hope. But it was gone too quickly, swallowed by the shadows of their memories. Hope needs more than promises, John. It needs action, consistency, it needs time. Time. A word heavy with meaning. Then let us start now, he said, his heart racing at the challenge. I can't change the past, but I can make today count. What do you need from me? She hesitated, eyes searching the ground. I need to see you with the kids. I want them to feel your presence again, not just your absence. They've been drifting, and it hurts. There was a sharpness in her voice, one that broke his heart and ignited a fire inside him. I'll take them to school in the mornings. I'll help with homework, be there for their little leagues. Whatever they need, I'll do it. He felt the words spill out, the commitment building inside. We can even have family game nights. Or movie nights, whatever it takes to reconnect. A slow smile appeared on her lips, but it was tempered with caution. It sounds easy when you say it like that, but life gets messy. What happens when it does? Sitting under the oak tree, John realized the constant struggle of existence. No one prepared you for the weight of responsibility as a parent or partner. He took a deep breath, letting the cool air fill his lungs, and searched for the right words. I know it won't be easy, but I'm willing to fight through the mess. I don't want to lose you or them. Not again. As they spoke, a sense of resilience began to fold in between them like a thin thread. It was fragile but tangible. Sarah looked at him, suspicion still lingering. And what if you fall back? What if things get too hard and you revert to your old ways? He paused, considering her words. It was a possibility, one that could unravel everything he wanted to build. Then I'll reach out. I'll talk to you. I can't promise perfection, but I will promise honesty. It's the only way we can truly find a way back. The night began to stretch out, cool air brushing against their faces, while a cacophony of crickets filled the silence around them. He could feel her tension slowly dissipating layer by layer, like ice thawing under the sun. But he wasn't naive, there was still a mountain to climb. Let us face today first, she said at last, her voice steadier. Tonight, I just want to see you be present. With the kids tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning it is, he replied, determination wrapping around his heart like a warm blanket. They both turned to watch the stars begin to flicker to life above them, a blanket of hope twinkling back. Just then, a distant shout echoed in the cool air, a child's voice, carefree and bright. See? It can be beautiful again, he said, trying to lighten the mood. Sarah chuckled softly, easing the last remnants of doubt in her expression. One day at a time. As they stood up, it felt like the first step into a new chapter, yet lingering questions resurfaced. Would tomorrow truly mark a change, or would the shadows creep back in, threatening to overwhelm? John released her hand slowly, knowing the risks ahead. But with hope pulsing in his chest, he couldn't help but feel something shifting inside him. What came next would be the true test. Could he be the man they needed him to be? As he glanced back at Sarah, he knew the hardest part had just begun. The morning light sliced through the curtains, illuminating the room with gentle warmth. John stirred awake, heart pounding like a drum against the uncertain day ahead. He glanced over at Sarah, who was still asleep, her face serene, untouched by the chaos and worry that swirled in his mind. Today was the day he would prove himself. Sliding out of bed, he felt the coolness of the floor beneath his feet. He took a deep breath, letting it fill him with determination. His children were still in their rooms, probably lost in dreams or the early stages of waking. The thought of them, his sweet kids, reminded him of why he had to do this. Why he had to show up. As he tiptoed down the hallway, the distant sounds of their rustling and sleepy murmurs excited him. Each sound was a reminder that there was still time to mend the frayed threads of their family. He found Lily, his youngest, sitting cross-legged on her bed, her hair a tangled halo. She squinted at him through the early morning light. "Daddy?" she mumbled, rubbing her eyes. "Hey, kiddo. Ready for school?" he asked, feeling a grin spread across his face. She gave a sleepy nod, then her expression shifted. "Are you really going to take us today? Like you promised?" Her tiny voice was filled with a mixture of hope and hesitation, striking a chord deep within him. "Yes, I am. No backing out this time. I'm right here. Just like I said." He knelt to her level, his heart swelling with the sincerity of his words. Lily smiled, breaking into a full-beam grin that lit up her face. "Awesome. Can we stop for donuts?" John laughed, the sound bouncing off the walls of the small room, and nodded. "Donuts it is. But only if you promise to brush your hair first." The laughter continued, spilling into the quiet house and chasing away the ghosts of yesterday. It felt like a fresh start, and for a moment, everything felt okay. After a chaotic breakfast filled with the sounds of cereal crunching and syrup dripping, he piled the kids into the car, a backpack in each hand. Sarah watched from the front door, her expression a blend of pride and apprehension. He shot her a reassuring smile, hoping to convey everything he felt inside. This was just the beginning. As they drove, the streets were lively, painted in the soft glow of the morning sun. He turned up the radio, the upbeat tunes filling the car with an infectious energy. Lily and her brother, Max, sang along, their voices intertwining in a beautiful symphony of youth and joy. Just like that, his confidence began to build. Pulling into the school parking lot, John's heart raced with a mix of excitement and nervousness. The sight of school children rushing inside reminded him of how much he had missed being an active part of their lives. "All right, squad. Let us make this drop-off the best one yet." They all cheered, even Lily, bouncing in her seat with delight. Climbing out of the car, John inhaled deeply, savoring the moment. He was here, fully present, and that was no small victory. But as he turned to watch his kids run off, he felt the shadow of doubt creep back in. What if he stumbled? What if this was just a temporary high, soon to be drowned by the weight of his old habits? "Dad, come on," Max hollered, waving his hands for him to hurry up. John shook off his worries, breaking into a jog toward them, a smile plastered on his face. After dropping them off, he walked back to his car, feeling lighter. Maybe today was a small victory, a little step on the long road ahead. He had to trust this new path, the one filled with uncertainty, but also possibility. As he drove away, head filled with hopeful thoughts, a flicker of worry returned. Sarah's anxiousness, the memories of his past mistakes, the implications of what this new relationship meant. Would he be able to keep it all together? But for now, he had done it. He had shown up. Halfway home, his phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. How did it go? His fingers hovered over the screen, emotions swirling inside. He took a moment to breathe. Did he dare to openly share his optimism? Did he risk tempting fate with too much positivity? Finally, he typed back, better than expected. I think today just might be the start of something big. As he pressed send, he felt a thrill mingled with the fear of the unknown. Could this really mark the change they both so desperately needed? The screen lit up again. Her reply was almost instant. What do you mean by big? John grinned, his heart pounding with excitement. But what would he say next? And could he keep it all together long enough to find out? John parked the car, his heart beating in sync with the rhythm of the radio softly playing. He could feel the weight of Sarah's question hanging over him, wrapping around him like a thick fog. What did he mean by big? It was easy to feel invincible in the moment, but soon he would have to face the realities of his life, the shadows of his past lingering just out of sight. He took a deep breath, his mind racing. This morning had been a small slice of heaven, but how long could it really last? The laugh of his children echoed in his ears, a sweet reminder of what he had to lose. But now, as he sat in the driveway, his phone silent again, he felt an antsy energy rumbling in his chest. He needed to act. No more waiting for life to happen. He had to make it happen. With determination blooming inside him, he opened his text messages and began to type. I don't know if you can see it yet, but I'm ready to make a change. To be the dad and husband you deserve. Just the act of hitting send transformed the tension that had gripped him into something lighter, something more hopeful. He had no idea how Sarah would respond, but he could only hope she'd feel a hint of that newfound determination. Her opinion mattered more than anything. The reply came quicker than expected. I want to believe you, John. I really do. But it's hard after everything. He could sense the caution in her words. It stung, but it was honest. He couldn't change her feelings overnight. Still, he felt a surge of optimism, a flicker of the flame he'd thought extinguished. Let's talk tonight, he replied, pressing his fingers against the screen. Maybe a heart-to-heart conversation would help, even though the idea of facing her scrutiny scared him. The fluttering in his stomach shifted, twisting with both fear and excitement. Redirecting his thoughts, he pulled into the garage and stepped out of the car. The world outside was alive with the sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves, a sharp contrast to the storm brewing inside him. As he walked into the house, he was engulfed by the familiar sense of home-sweet cinnamon from the last batch of breakfast treats and the musty aroma from the family dogs. With the kids at school, the house felt strangely quiet, amplifying his thoughts. He moved to the kitchen where a stack of unopened bills taunted him from the counter. Each pile was a reminder of the life he wanted to escape, yet here they were, waiting for him to deal with them. He shook his head, pushing them aside. Not now. Today was about building instead of dwelling. He grabbed a pen and paper, jotting down ideas for changes he could implement: a family game night, a weekend hike, maybe even a cooking night where everyone would pitch in. Each thought flowed easily from him, a smirk creeping onto his face as he envisioned the laughter, the moments that would fill the void his absence had created. An hour passed in a blink, and before he knew it, he was flipping through old family photo albums, reminiscing. Each snapshot brought back memories brimming with joy, love, and intimacy, the times that had once felt so secure. He could visualize their faces so full of laughter, alive with the hope for future adventures. A ping from his phone snapped him back to reality. Another message from Sarah. "Can I bring up dinner tonight? I have a lot on my mind." His heart sank for a moment, the weight of her words filling him with apprehension. Did this mean she was skeptical? Did it mean she was giving up? "Absolutely. I'm ready," he typed back. As he tossed his phone onto the couch, palms sweaty, he wondered if he was ready to lay his heart bare. Was he truly prepared for the conversation that could reshape everything between them? There was a hint of anxiety mixed with anticipation as he glanced at the clock. Hours felt like days. Tonight would be pivotal, a moment that could either shatter the fragile beginnings of the man he was becoming or transform it into something even stronger. What would Sarah say? Would she see the change he so desperately wanted to portray? As the ticking clock created an unrelenting rhythm in the background, John felt his pulse quicken with every passing minute. He couldn't help but think tonight would either make it or break it. But he was ready to face whatever came next. And for the first time in a long time, part of him believed that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. John paced the living room, the shadows stretching long as the evening sun dipped lower in the sky. He could hear the sound of kids laughing outside as they played in the remaining daylight, a stark contrast to the tightness knotting in his chest. Did he really think he could change everything just like that? He sunk into the couch, tossing the remote aside. The TV flickered to life, but he wasn't really watching. Thoughts of Sarah filled his mind. She had always been his anchor, the calm in the mounting storms. Yet, he had let those storms rage on without her. He remembered her eyes, how they shone with hope once and now seemed clouded with doubt. What if tonight was the moment he had both dreaded and yearned for? A part of him wished it could be easy, a simple conversation over spaghetti and meatballs, where they laughed and reminisced about better times. But he knew it wouldn't be that simple. He got up and walked into the kitchen, his hands fidgeting with the countertops. The bills were still there, still waiting, but he shoved the thought aside. Tonight's dinner was about more than that. It was about healing if they could even reach that point. He glanced at the clock again. 15 minutes until Sarah would be home. The suspense twisted in his stomach. What if he blurted something wrong? What if he said too much or not enough? He couldn't let nerves derail him. He had to stick to his resolve, believe in the changes he wrote down earlier. As the clock struck 7, the unmistakable sound of the front door creaking open echoed through the quiet house. John straightened, heart racing. He caught sight of Sarah as she stepped inside, taking off her coat slowly, almost reluctantly. Their eyes met, and for a brief second, an unspoken word hung in the air. "Hey," she said, a tentative smile crossing her lips. It didn't reach her eyes, though. "Hey," he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. "How was your day?" "Long." "Yours?" "Busy," he said, forcing a smile. "I was thinking about dinner tonight." She raised an eyebrow, her attention lingering on him, inspecting him like a puzzle piece she wasn't sure fit. He swallowed hard, the gravity between them heavy. Maybe this was the moment he had to break all the old habits. Maybe he needed to start with the truth. "Sarah, I know things have been rough. I know I messed up, and words can only go so far. But I want to make it right." Her expression shifted, apprehensive but curious. "What do you mean by make it right?" He took a deep breath, feeling more exposed than he ever had. "I want to be there for you, for the kids. I want you to see the difference in me. I need you to believe it." Before he could finish, a small voice interrupted their conversation, pulling at the tension. It was Lily, their youngest, peeking around the corner. "Mom, Dad, are we having dinner now?" The moment shattered, tension replaced by familial warmth. Sarah knelt, pulling Lily into a hug, and a hint of softness returned to her face. John watched, feeling the pang of longing mixed with fear. He wanted this, he really did. But he knew they needed to address the problem head-on. "Okay, let us get dinner ready," John announced, his heart racing once more, but this time with purpose. They started moving about the kitchen together, preparing the meal in a surprisingly comfortable silence. But the clock on the wall ticked louder now, each second passing like a drumbeat, reminding him that the real conversation lay ahead. As they sat down at the dinner table, their plates filled, he felt the undeniable weight of what needed to come next. "Sarah, I know we need to talk," he began, his voice steady again. But before he could dive deeper, her phone buzzed loudly on the table, shattering the moment. She glanced at it, a frown creeping across her face. "It's Matt," she said, her voice tight. John's heart dropped. Who was Matt? And what did he want now? As she swiped to read, John felt palpable fear rise in his chest. He needed to know what came next. He needed a chance to finally break through. Would she choose to continue the path they had begun to tread? Or would this Matt become another winding road that could lead them away from making things right? John felt his heart race as he watched Sarah's fingers move across the screen of her phone. The brief flicker of anxiety in her eyes pierced through the tiny flickers of hope he tried to light within himself. Matt? The name hung heavily in the air, casting a shadow over the hopeful conversation he had believed they were about to share. "Is everything okay?" he asked, forcing a casual tone, though inside, he was anything but calm. Sarah's face tightened. It's just something about work." She didn't meet his gaze, her attention fixated on the glowing device in her hand. The silence that followed felt suffocating, each second stretching into an eternity. "Do you want to talk about it?" he prodded, trying to keep the desperation out of his voice. "No, I mean, not right now," she replied, her tone almost apologetic yet distant. It was a slight crack in the door, but it was enough to make him uneasy. Whoever Matt was, he seemed to hold a weight she hadn't been ready to share. "Okay," John said, his voice trailing off, swallowed by the uncertainty in the room. His appetite dwindled as he stared at the remnants of their meal, everything from the spaghetti to the garlic bread losing its flavor. Lily fiddled with her fork, blissfully unaware of the tension. "Can I have ice cream for dessert?" she chirped, her innocent smile breaking through the dark clouds. "Of course. Ice cream it is," Sarah replied, her smile genuine but fleeting, as though a storm was lurking just beneath the surface. She stood abruptly, intent on escaping the dinner table. "Wait," John called softly, desperation clawing at him. "Can we just have a moment to talk? Just a minute?" "I really need to respond to this," she said, the words rushing out, before disappearing into the kitchen. John sat there, feeling like he'd been punched in the gut. The task at hand felt monumental, like standing in front of a vast chasm with no bridge in sight. He wanted to reach out, to close the distance, but the thought of pushing too hard kept his feet rooted in place. His thoughts raced around all the things he wanted to say but couldn't manage, weighed down by the piercing shadows of doubt. After what felt like an eternity, Sarah returned, her eyes more guarded than before. "Lily, go wash your hands." "I'll dish up the ice cream," she instructed, avoiding John's gaze entirely. John felt helpless as Lily scampered off, the sound of her little feet fading into the background. What did he want? He finally asked, his voice shaky. "Just work stuff," she replied, slicing through the static tension. "You know how things get busy. Busy like texting someone at dinner?" His voice came out sharper than he intended, laced with frustration. Her expression hardened, and for a moment, it felt like a wall went up between them. "Can we not do this now?" "Not tonight." "Then when?" John challenged, feeling his own walls crumbling. "I'm trying. I don't want to keep losing you." "I don't know, John," she replied, crossing her arms. "Things don't just fix themselves overnight. You can't just think you can say a few nice words and everything will be okay." His gut twisted at her words. Perhaps she was right. Perhaps he had underestimated what she needed from him. And what if this Matt guy was tied to something deeper? "I get that, but I want to understand. Let me in so I can try." Just then, Lily returned, ice cream in hand, oblivious to the heaviness that hovered like fog over their table. "Yay! Ice cream!" she exclaimed. The brief distraction was a bomb, but it wasn't a solution. As they scooped the sweet treat, each bite felt harder to swallow than the last. His mind drifted, wondering to what lay behind Sarah's guarded demeanor. Who was Matt? And would tonight's conversation be the fork in the road that led them toward healing, or would it lead to yet more uncertainty, complicating the fragile connection they were trying to mend? As laughter broke the spell for a fleeting moment, John couldn't shake the dread creeping back in. He had a feeling it wouldn't be long before the truth about Matt came to light. And then, everything would change, one way or another. Dinner continued in an uneasy rhythm, and John tried to focus on Lily as she chatted away about school, her friends, and her recent art project. Each giggle and smile tugged at his heart, a sharp reminder of the happy moments he longed to bring back with Sarah. But every time he looked at her, the smile would fade, replaced by worry etched across her features. Sarah was physically present but emotionally distant, her mind still tethered to whatever turmoil Matt was causing. John couldn't help but feel like he was fighting against a tide that was pulling her further away from him. Once Lily finished her ice cream, she bounded off to her room, leaving John and Sarah alone in the kitchen. The silence weighed heavy, like a curtain draping over conversation. John took a breath. "Can we please talk now?" he asked, his voice a mix of determination and vulnerability. Sarah shifted, fiddling with the empty ice cream container. "What is there to say?" she replied, her tone flat, defensive. "There's so much. I just want to understand you better. I want to be here for you," he insisted, stepping closer, closing the gap that had stretched between them since the moment the name Matt was uttered. She hesitated, biting her lip as if contemplating her next words. "I don't know if I can explain it," she finally admitted, a quiver in her voice. "It's complicated." "Complicated how? Is it about him?" John's heart raced, the question slipping out before he could hold back. Sarah flinched, her guarded demeanor surfacing again. "It's not just about him. It's about everything. I feel lost, John. It feels like I'm drowning in expectations, and I don't even know what I want anymore." That admission hit John like a freight train. The raw truth of her struggles struck him deep. He was supposed to be her partner, her support system, and yet he felt utterly helpless. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I thought I could handle it," she snapped, the frustration bubbling over. "Because I didn't want to burden you. You've got so much on your plate already. I want to shoulder that with you. That's what marriage is about, right? Sharing everything, every burden, every joy." John's voice began to rise, a mix of anger and desperation pouring out. The tension in the kitchen thickened, and yet it felt like a vital conversation was finally unfolding. Sarah's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Sometimes it feels like I can't even breathe. Like the air is too thin, and all I see is what I can't do. It's suffocating." "And then there's Matt and I," she paused, tears spilling over, her facade crumbling. "Sarah, please, just tell me. Who is he to you?" The sorrow etching his heart felt unbearable as he searched her face. "Yes, just someone I've been leaning on at work. He gets me. He listens. When everything else is falling apart, he seems to put me back together." Her words cut like glass, each syllable sharpening the wound. John's heart sank deeper. The fear of losing her loomed large and unstoppable. "So there's nothing else? You're not involved?" "No, it's not like that. I swear," Sarah pleaded, her voice breaking. "But I can't deny that I'm scared. Scared of failing, scared of being alone, scared of us falling apart." In that moment of raw honesty, John saw the fear mirrored in her eyes, the same fear that gripped him every time he faced the possibility of losing her. "We can fix this," he whispered, grasping her hands in his. "We can find a way to heal together. Just give me the chance." But as Sarah pulled away slightly, wiping her tears, he knew that words alone might not be enough to bridge the chasm that had grown between them. Would confronting the truth make everything better, or only deepen the rift? Before they could speak again, the phone buzzed loudly from the kitchen counter, slicing through the tension like a knife. Sarah's eyes darted toward the screen. "It's Matt," she murmured, frozen in place, not knowing whether to answer. John felt his stomach drop. This moment could either shatter everything or maybe, just maybe, illuminate a path forward. With fear knotting in his chest, he wondered, If this would be the moment that transformed everything or sealed their fate once and for all. The room held its breath as Sarah stared at the phone. John felt like he was watching a scene unfold in slow motion. Would she respond? Would answering Matt erase the glimmer of hope he clung to so tightly? She trailed off, uncertainty knitting her brows together. It's your choice, he managed to say, though dread curled in his gut. This was the crossroads they'd reached. Did she see it as a choice or a temptation? With a shaky sigh, she reached for the phone, her fingers hovering just above the screen. The weight of the world felt like it was balanced on that moment. He wanted to reach out, to pull her back, but was that even his place anymore? Sarah, we need to address this. I can't stand by and watch you drift away. His voice cracked, allowing the raw, honest fear he felt to seep through. Tears glimmered in her eyes, reflecting the turmoil within. I know, but she gave a brief shake of her head, her resolve slipping. You don't understand. Then help me understand. He implored, feeling every bit of his frustration. We can't keep brushing things under the rug. Every time I reach out, it feels like you're hiding. Silence enveloped them, thickening the air. Finally, Sarah placed the phone back down, phone call unmade. She dropped her head into her hands, sobs racking her frame. John moved in closer, wrapping an arm around her shoulders, drawing her into a protective hug. It's okay, he whispered as she cried, feeling the warmth of her body against his. I just want you back. Not just as my wife, but as my partner, my friend. I'm so scared, John. Her voice choked out between sobs. I'm scared of hurting you, scared of losing everything. I don't know which way is up anymore. Frustration bubbling, John pulled back gently, cupping her face with his hands. Look at me. Sarah blinked, lifting her tear-streaked face to meet his gaze. You don't have to go through this alone. We're stronger together, remember? Let us keep fighting, all right? Fighting is exhausting, she mumbled, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks. Then let us rest together, all right? His heart raced as he forged ahead, taking the plunge into vulnerability. I can't promise you it's easy. But I promise you it will be worth it. She took a shaky breath, and the walls began to lower just a fraction. Do you truly mean that? I do, he affirmed, his voice steady and deep. I want to learn, to change, to fight for our family. She nodded, slow but sure, glistening hope flickering in her eyes. I want that too, but it feels so daunting. Then we start small. We rebuild like we're building a home. One brick at a time, he said, determination pooling within him. The space between them felt inexplicably lighter. She leaned into him, and for the first time in far too long, he felt a flicker of warmth return, a reminder of the love they had always shared. Then, the phone buzzed again, vibrating against the countertop, cutting through their moment of clarity. John's gut twisted anew. Maybe, just maybe, we need to face this, he suggested, and though he was terrified, he knew they needed honesty, not avoidance. Sarah hesitated, but then her shoulders dropped, and she reached for the phone, her movements deliberate. Hey, Matt, she said, her voice shaking. John could see the resolve strengthening in her stance, even if it was slight. For every breath she took, John held his own, reminding himself that this was a part of the healing. They had to acknowledge the cracks if they ever hoped to mend the broken pieces. Yeah, I'm okay, just busy, she continued, glancing at John, unsure yet resolute. Can we talk later? Every beat of the conversation felt monumental. When she tapped the screen to end the call, a weight settled in the silence. I did that. I chose us. His heart swelled. And I'm proud of you. Relief seeped into the air between them, transforming the heaviness that had filled the room for so long. Maybe it was just the first step, but the first step was often the hardest. Thank you for trusting me, she said, her voice softening. I don't want to lose us, John. I'm terrified every day that I'll wake up and find it was just a dream. We'll make it real, he promised, squeezing her hands tightly. Together. As they stood in the warmth of the fading kitchen light, something shifted deep inside John. They were not just weathering the storm, they were learning to dance in the rain. The beginning of something new bloomed in the air, fragrant and full of possibility. The journey ahead was sure to be bumpy, but they were willing to walk it together. As they shared a small, tentative smile, hope sparked bright against the night settling outside, unbreakable, shimmering, and determined to blossom. Because they'd finally taken that step forward together. Now, don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. And remember, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. This is the moment to show your support, and only true fans understand how vital it is to keep this community alive.